Hello everyone, today we're taking a look at the Jesus.VBS Trojan. This Trojan is not too crazily complicated, but I thought some of its effects were pretty neat for a VBS script based malware, so let's take a look at it. Before we get into the Trojan itself, let's open it up in Notepad. We can see this nice ASCII art and some comments from the author or authors. It says, plain pain you might regain and complain, Jesus rolled me a doobie. This is not a love bug variant. Bootleg. Yeah, we're from the Philippines or something like that. So they're pretty upfront in stating that they did not copy this from Love Letter, which had come out less than 2 years prior to this Trojan appearing, and that this is their own original creation, and they want all the credit. So now I think we are good to run it and see what it does. And surprisingly, I actually don't need to fix this. It runs with no issues whatsoever. And while I was talking on and on, you might have noticed Jesus.html appearing on our desktop. And it creates this. When you open it, Jesus Virus 1A, Bootleg, Programming Inc., Computer Status, Infected. This virus isn't dangerous to your files, just to your sanity. Now, they do call it a virus, however, looking through the code, it doesn't infect anything or put its code anywhere other than other copies of itself. So in order to spread, it would have to be sent to somebody, which pretty much covers the definition of Trojan instead of a virus. Because technically, to be a virus, you have to infect a host program, which will then spread your virus when it is run. But that's just getting into the nitty-gritty. Let's get on with the video. So that's our HTML file. Alright, this Trojan changes the Internet Explorer startup page and search tool. I tried setting up Internet Explorer real quick in the middle of this video to see if that actually happened, and it turns out it doesn't. So that is why these two icons have disappeared from our desktop. The Trojan didn't do that, so it's nothing that you need to worry about. But there are a lot of registry keys that get added and edited here. If we bring this up and scroll down, we can see it's copying itself to a few different places with a few different names. Then we're going to enable registry writing. Bam! Alright, so what are we doing here? So we're setting a bunch of registry keys. And we've got Internet Explorer start page, JesusLovesMe.net, search page, JesusSaysDie.com, changing some more information on the computer into Jesus lives here and I'm Jesus's ashtray. So I'm kind of sensing a theme here of maybe mid-teenage, late teenage, early 20s author who grew up with religion and is now turned against it and is kind of rebelling in the best way they know how, which is to write some obnoxiously blasphemous stuff into a piece of malware. But that's just my theory. I don't actually know. Continuing on, we can see JesusNet ISP. The work group is set to Bible study. Telnet information is set to JesusIsLordandMaster.com. Our email name changed to Jesus@heaven.bam. Our ICQ server host changed to ICQ.JesusHatesICQ.com. And I was not aware of that. I figured he would have been accepting of all chat clients. Moving on, our Netscape Navigator homepage is changed to JesusSaysYouSuck.com. And it's set to auto load, so as soon as you open it, it will load this homepage, which unfortunately no longer exists, and I'm not sure if it ever actually did exist, but that's what this Trojan does. Also changes your AOL Instant Messenger login screen name to JesusVirus1A, like we saw in the HTML file. Our company is changed to JesusSoft, Jesus Christ, Son of God. Registered owner is Jesus Christ, and the organization is Heavensoft Tools. And finally, our country is changed to United States of Rock and Roll. One of these things is not like the other. I wonder if we can see that the registered owner has changed. Yeah, would you look at that? Registered to Jesus Christ and Heavensoft Tools. So that's kind of nice. It actually did change it and we can see it. One more thing to look at before we restart the computer. We can see it's actually dropped one of its files here in the root of the C drive, MSIE update 3211.VBS. This is just a straight up copy. There are a few more of these throughout the system, namely in the system directory. So when you see the VBS scripts, that's probably the Trojan. So here you see JesusNews.doc.VBS. If you had double file extensions disabled so that you could only see the first one, you would only see JesusNews.doc, and maybe you think you should run this, but most likely the type of person who would run that with this Visual Basic Script icon would not be snooping around in the system directory on Windows anyway. But that's just my theory. Let's keep on scrolling as this Trojan drops one more file, msconfig.vbs. Now this is not your traditional copy of the script. This is a new script that we can see is launching some rather amusing message boxes in an infinite loop, which is called on boot up, checks a random number to see if it should activate, and if it should, then you'll see, oh, hey, what luck, we got it on the first try. Jesus eats people, that's why we love him. Let Jesus into your heart. And this never stops because, of course, infinite loop, we'll have to kill the script. Oh, no, even then, it doesn't want me to stop. So we're just going to ignore that. And, oh, there is our MSIE update 32.VBS, another copy of the Trojan straight up. And finally, at the very end here, something that we'd only discover by snooping in the code of the Visual Basic Script. We've got sausage.dll, which is, of course, Jesus backwards. Oh, it doesn't like Control N. Alright, let's run Notepad and drag that in there, which says, yes, it was, but I think I have. No one will ever find this, or will they? Tucked away all up in a place where no one, with the right mind, would mess with me. So this statement here, along with this last part I'm going to show you, really reminds me of a certain type of internet personality that I come across pretty frequently, where there's a tendency to be pretty flippant and disattached to societal norms. When you get a bit crazy, you sort of start slamming the keyboard into gibberish like that. But you got to keep in mind that this was written over 20 years ago. So I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same. So we can see this comment. This will make the shutdown screen appear during startup. What the hell am I thinking? So this comment, along with all the other comments and sort of rather juvenile sense of humor, really leads me to believe late teenage years, just getting into programming, really want to express yourself away from the way that society wants you to express yourself, that sort of rebellious nature that all teenagers tend to have. But again, that's just me theorizing. If you want to theorize, you can go right ahead. But it is true, it does actually replace that startup logo. So we're going to close out of all of this and ignore the message boxes and restart and see what it does. Enjoy the seek test. It's not great on this machine, but it is there. So instead of Windows 98 with the cloud background, we see it's now safe to turn off your computer, which is pretty confusing if you're booting your computer and expecting it to be normal. Now, I've seen other viruses that sort of flip the boot images around, but I've never seen one that copies the log off one to startup. So I thought this was pretty neat and worthy of demonstrating on a video. But as you can see here, we still boot just fine. It's not destructive, it doesn't overwrite or infect any files. To remove it, you can just remove those registry keys it makes in its dropped files, and then you'll no longer have a problem with the Jesus VBS Trojan. So rather juvenile, but I think it's pretty neat with that shutdown screen appearing during startup, which is kind of confusing and would probably generate more than a few calls to tech support if it should happen to an unknowing end user. So that is about it for the Jesus VBS Trojan. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.